In this video, I'm gonna explain my approach to starting a beat with a sample and creating your own song, your own theme around it, so you end up with something unique and original that doesn't just sound like a remix of the original sample. So we're gonna focus on the musical aspects of it and the overall thought process, and not as much on the technical side of it. I've done plenty of videos on how to chop a sample, so this is not one of those. And the sample sounded like this. And the beat I made turned out like this. But you will hear the whole thing at the end of the video. So the sample in question was provided by the legend DiBiase for his DB Flip sessions on Discord. So shout out to DiBiase for hosting this sample challenge. So how did I make it? Initially, when I heard the sample, I was drawn to the guitar chords. So the obvious thing was to focus on the guitar chords, but when I did that, I couldn't come up with a pattern that make me want to develop it into a full track. So I had to dial it back and think a bit out of the box. So I chopped the sample in the laziest of ways. I used the slice by beat mode using a division of quarter notes, and I also switched from trigger to gate mode, which enables me to have control over how long the sample plays, because this way it plays only while I'm holding the pad. So I played around on the push, trying out some different ideas, and I stumbled upon this cool little part in between the main notes, like in between the main guitar chords. So definitely make sure to pay attention to these small in-between parts, as they may contain a dope groove or a nice little pocket that can spark some ideas. And so then I just auditioned all the slices just to find like 2 or 3 that work well together. You don't need to use all the slices. You don't need to recreate your original theme. You just need to find some little snippets that work nice and build on them. So then I recorded this pattern, and just pay attention to how the first and the second bar have this question and answer relationship. And then the third bar is the same as the first bar, and the fourth bar again answers it, but in a slightly different manner. So you see, this is why I actually use samples in the first place, because I mean, I can record all the parts myself and make everything myself. However, then again, this is just me with my own ideas. While using a sample shows me new directions I can go, so the end result can be more unique. Now, obviously, to add your own melodies, bass, and chords, you need to know the key of the sample, and luckily, here we have it in the file name. The sample is in B. So I messed around with some notes from the B minor scale just to see which notes work well together with the sample and which don't sound that great. You don't even need to be that great at music theory. You can just figure it out by trial and error. Just see where the sample goes, whether it goes up or down, and try notes from the key that the sample is in, and you're bound to find something that works well. Except for the cases when you're using really old samples and they are out of tune, but this wasn't the case here. But yeah, how fast you find a good sounding notes for your bass line depends on your musical skills, your experience, and obviously the more you do it, the faster you will become at it. So here's the bass. Doesn't sound that great by itself, but when you combine it with the sample and the drums, And so yeah, this bass works, and I deliberately chose a very simple preset from my Driftwave pack for Ableton Live, just a smooth bass sound that doesn't take up so much space. By the way, you can check out the pack from the link in the video description. If you don't know about it, some pretty cool bass and synth sounds for you Ableton Live users. So far so good. Everything works well, but sounds kind of dry, and you may be tempted to add reverb at this point. However, I knew that I was going to be adding more stuff to the track, and so I didn't want to drown the sample in reverb, because the reverb would take more space in the mix, and again the final mix would sound more muddy and not so clear. So instead of adding reverb, I went on to try to add a lush pad sound with some chords. Using the Fairbanks synth from Chord Gadget, I just played very basic B minor and A minor chords. So basically this polyphonic synth just follows the sample again and just thickens it and makes it more lush. Now at this point, as I add more and more sounds, I get more and more excited about the track. The fact that I made all these sounds work kind of rewards my brain with some dopamine, and this is really motivating, and it really inspires me to continue pushing to see how far I can take this track. And this is actually really important, because if I don't get excited, making the track would feel like hard work. And I think that often this feeling will be passed on to the listener. They will be able to subconsciously feel that making the track was a chore. And obviously we don't want that. And so for the lead melody, I went for these Asian pluck sounds from the East Asia collection by Native Instruments. The preset is called Shamisen Aranami. It has this really cool Asian vibe. And initially I thought I wanted to add a synth lead. However, this sound is much more unique, and it kind of evokes some images in your head as you listen to it. And so again, it's just a simple melody using the B minor scale, and you can again hear this question and answer relationship between all the licks in this melody line. So I just basically came up with it on the spot, and it turned out really good. So I decided to go with it. So this was the lead melody, and the cherry on top was to add some vocal samples. My approach is usually to isolate a single note from a longer phrase, just pitch it up and down and just tune it to the key of the song. And again, we can see the file name of this one, it's in E minor, pitching it up 7 semitones up. It's in B minor, so theoretically should be easier to fit in with the key of our track. So then I just experimented to see where is the best spot on my musical phrase that the vocal sample will really work well and really harmonize with what's playing beneath it. I don't want it to just work, I want it to really enhance the vibe of the whole thing. So it kind of works well as a transition at the end of the phrase, and I also added another vocal sample as another transition. For this one, I used an audio track, tuned it in a manner similar to the previous vocal sample, pitched it, reversed it, but then I also copied it and created a harmony. So the copy was pitched up 7 semitones, again creating a perfect fifth. So from a monophonic sample, I created harmony that just sounds more uplifting. I also added this weird synth from Duets, just a synth with an arpeggiator that changes the speed. I didn't really play any particular melody with it. I feel like at this point, less is more. Too many melodies can distract from the whole vibe. And before we hear the final beat, a bonus pro tip. If you're struggling for motivation to make music, find an online beat battle and take part in it. It's not at all about winning, but it adds a gamification aspect to music production. So it boosts your motivation and you make more efforts to come up with something cool and unique. So it's a really cool way to break out of beat block or just when you're lacking inspiration. So if I hadn't taken up this beat battle, I wouldn't have made this beat, and I feel like I did really well. I really dig this one. Let's check it out. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed the video, hit the like button down there, subscribe to the channel if you are new here, and also have a look at my Ableton Live packs and my sample packs from the link down in the video description. If you like my style and the sounds that I use, I'm sure you will like those packs. And here is another beat breakdown video for more tips and inspiration. It's up here. See you there.